I was confused. AI, robots, ChatGPT, these were all words getting thrown around in the news, and I never really knew the meaning of them. Will these new technologies help humanity? Will they stifle creativity? Could they even be used to hurt people? These were just some of the questions I was left with, and I was curious, so I went looking for answers.
Hello, my name is Rania Hodhod. I'm the chair of the School of Computer Science at Columbus State University. I have a PhD degree in computer science. For the last 12 years, my focus is on AI.
My name is Sarah Westner. I'm an English major, history minor at CSU. I'm also the president of the Creative Writing Club at CSU.
You can think of artificial intelligence more like simulation of human intelligence. This is pretty much it. So any machine that exhibits, that kind of simulation of human intelligence, we refer to that as artificial intelligence. The ChatGPT technology is relying on that kind of simulation of how our human brain is structured. Pretty much this is called artificial neural network. So you can think of each of these nodes as a neuron. And with our human brain neurons, actually we get the signal. The neuron has some sort of biochemical reaction that goes on, and then it either strengthens that signal or faint it down. And the signal propagates to another neuron. Now, when it comes to the artificial structure, it's very similar. So we have the neurons here. These are all like a network of neurons. And then we get the signal coming in here. And instead of the biochemical reaction, we have mathematical function. One major difference between our brain and this kind of artificial neural network is the fact that our brain can get infinite types of outputs. But when we work with, neural networks, we get binary output. So this is the main technique ChatGPT and other AI tools are relying on. The main thing is the ability to learn. So for our brain to learn, you actually have to, let's say you're trying to teach a toddler what a cat is. What would you do?
Show a picture of a cat.
Thank you, exactly, but not just one picture. You would show the toddler many pictures, right? White cat, black cat, large cat, small cat, right? Many different poses too. Now, when you introduce that toddler to a new picture, a new cat picture, he will be able, right, to recognize it. Same thing for, that kind of technique when it comes to artificial neural networks. You have to train that model on huge number of pictures, like thousands and thousands. The more the pictures, the better the classification would be. So once the model gets trained on those pictures, when you introduce a new picture to the model, it can tell you, this is a cat, this is a dog. So, and we can have certain precision associated with the classification. So this is how pretty much, those models work. When it comes to language, same thing. You are training those models on huge number of documents.
In some ways, AI is kind of like the infinite monkeys on a typewriter. Eventually, you're going to get Shakespeare. So I definitely don't want to say it's not going to affect people in the literary sphere as well.
And this is something I also share with my students a lot. Yes, AI is taking over jobs. We have to admit that, but which jobs? Like if we are in a software development company, I can tell that AI can replace the junior programmers, those who are just, coders, can just write a program, but they are not able to write the most efficient program. They are not the best in their field, let's say it this way. So yes, AI can replace those people when it comes to creativity, but it cannot really replace the senior software developer because that kind of expertise, that kind of reasoning, AI does not exhibit yet. If we're talking about, poetry, drawing, arts, it's still far from being that creative, like the authentic creativity. It's still far from that. That's why in education we have to focus on skills more than knowledge. We have to get our students to be problem solvers, creative. These skills, AI is very far from having those nowadays. So this is what makes our students or humanity of higher level than robots.
So I think writing is very special as a form of creation because I think it's one of the most pure ways of communication that we can have. We talk a lot in writing about having your voice, and I think that's what makes writing very special, is it's very literally your voice. And that's something that is entirely unique, to you. And I think that's what is special about writing. So do I think that AI could replicate what makes writing special to me? Occasionally, it will put out something, a line, or a phrase, or sometimes even a paragraph, where I see it and I think, there is something in here. And whenever I see that, it makes me wonder, okay, so are we really in trouble now? But the thing is that I think there's always going to have to be a human curator at the very least, who's looking at the output from these models.
It's still far from being really creative. I mean, you can see now like very beautiful drawings, by AI and stuff, but all these are coming from trained data, right? So we already provided those tools with huge amount of drawings, or if I focus on drawings for a second, or paints. So we provided those with huge amount of drawings, and it get trained. Again, it was able to put the properties, and now it can create something new from that previous, trained upon data set. But it cannot be creative on its own. I think it's very far from being creative, like really creative.
But ultimately, it's hard for me to imagine a future where there's no human input on these models. And I think there's a very high possibility where we can see AIs with guidance from humans making very good works. And I find that exciting. I know some people get scared by that, and I very much understand it, but I think this is a technology that we're gonna have to work with instead of against, because it's already here and it's not going away.
They're powerful and they're helpful. If we use them the right way, they're gonna help the humanity a lot. For example, as the administrator here in the School of Computer Science, I can use ChatGPT to help me write a quiz, create a quiz for my class. That quiz would take me maybe 2 hours to create on my own, but with ChatGPT, I can get it in 2 minutes. So if we use ChatGPT with that respect, it's helpful. But if we over-rely on it, like if I ask it to write a program for me, and then I just take that program, copy and paste, and use it. So many things happening here. One, I'm not sure that this program works as it is. I have to really verify it before using it, right? So if we over-rely on these tools to provide us with what they have, it's problematic. But if we use them for our benefit, just to help us or assist with starting things, or get some of the mundane things done for us, they're very helpful. So in general, as I said, the most powerful tool, one of the most powerful tools now is ChatGPT 4, and it's about 1% intelligence compared to our brain. The problem is the speed we're going, towards ChatGPT 5 and 6. For example, ChatGPT 3 had 100 billion neurons. However, ChatGPT 4 has 175 billion neurons. Our human brain has 100 billion neurons. So ChatGPT 3 has the same number of neurons as us. Now ChatGPT 4 has double the neurons we have in our brain. However, what makes us smart is not really the number of neurons, it's the connection between the neurons. This is how we think, how we learn. So we have about 1,000 trillion connections. ChatGPT 4 has about 1 trillion connection. So that's why they are referring to it as kind of 1% of what we have. So it's still far, but we moved from 0.1 in ChatGPT 3 connections to 1. So it's a huge jump. So the problem is how it's going to look like if we move from 1 to 10%, and then 10% to 20% to 50%. It's going to be a really different world then. So I think by 2027, we will have ChatGPT 10, according to the articles I read. And if this happens, the world will be different from how it is now. You will see, I think by 2030, we'll have 1 billion robots around the world already, walking, among us. We are now, we are working with AI on a daily basis. We have AI in most of our applications, your phone, your home, smart homes now, smart cities. We will have to adapt, but we have to be careful. In the future, I think that the world will be run with humans and those AI machines in the figure of a humanoid robot, or just smart machines around us. So I think it will be really a shared governance. We have to be careful in the sense we shouldn't give more power to these tools. For example, I know that there are some AI techniques now that we as the developers of those techniques, we don't really know how they exactly work. There is now a research area called explainable AI, where we actually try to get this tool to explain how it reached its reasoning or its conclusion. Do you know what this means? That we created something that we don't really know how exactly it works. So this is very problematic if you think about it, right? And this is huge, because now you have powerful techniques, powerful machines that act and react in a way that you may not know what would be the consequences of those actions. There are many opinions that say we should stop at ChatGPT 4 or maybe maximum 5, and we should, harness the powerfulness and the advantages of these tools, and we shouldn't proceed. Just help us to be as creative as we can as humans, but don't give them more power than that. But as humans, we are curious creatures. I'll just say we are curious creatures. We're not going to stop there. If we stop, others will continue. People are curious to see where the technology will take us, so they will continue progressing.
And then my more cynical side is, corporations are going to use this technology to further push people out of the workplace. We're going to see less and less, new faces and new voices in the industry. And eventually everything is all going to be AI-powered sludge, which I say kind of facetiously, but it's also a genuine concern. But I am holding out hope for the future, and at the very least, it's going to be interesting.
Okay, I'm not scared, but I'm not optimistic. I know that they're going to take over. We are giving AI huge power, and we are unleashing it. We don't really have, control. We don't have much control now, and we will have less control in the future. So at some point, I know that there will be some takeover from the robot side, and we are allowing this to happen. This is what I believe.